Professional wrestling, and indeed just about every major industry you can imagine, has never stared down a peacetime crisis on the magnitude and scale of the one the world is currently enduring. Day-to-day life as we know it will be, at least for the next few months, dramatically altered, and sectors such as entertainment, hospitality, and travel all adapt to these trying times. When we emerge from the other side, and we will do so, the healing process will begin. Oh, and the night out will be bloody epic. But there is no question that the world, though it may keep turning, won't operate as it once did. In the context of this doom-mongering, WWE's trials and tribulations seem utterly trivial, but in a noble bid to keep people entertained as more and more of the global population enters confinement, they're keeping on. Though perhaps the biggest challenge the company has ever faced, it's not the first time they've been plunged into some degree of chaos. With that in mind, I'm Adam Wilborn from What Culture, and these are 7 times WWE was plunged into chaos. Number 7. Snowstorms. Barbecues, holidays, and outdoor sporting events. No matter how carefully planned, they will inescapably be ruined by the meteorological whims of our great Lord. 1993's storm of the century, which barraged the USA's East Coast, forced Raw out of New York's Manhattan Center for the first time. The 15th of March episode, now hosted by Gorilla Monsoon, instead aired from Poughkeepsie's Mid-Hudson Civic Center, with many of the company's top talent, including top singles champs Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, unable to make it. A similar snowstorm in January 2015 led to even greater disruption. With 29 million people placed under blizzard warning across the Northeast, the Royal Rumble Fallout Raw from Hartford, Connecticut was postponed, whilst a SmackDown taping in the States was outright cancelled. To fill the time, WWE produced a special studio show from Stamford, including a rerun of the Rumble's WWE title triple threat and a weather report from Mr. Sunshine himself, JBL. Number 6. Crown Jewel Jeopardy. The gleam was very much off the crown jewels of WWE's Saudi partnership, following the debacle arising in the aftermath of October 2019's sojourn to the Kingdom. Shortly after the already drastic show went off air, WWE's plane couldn't get into it. Reports began circulating that the aircraft set to transport WWE's talent and staff back to the States was grounded on the Riyadh tarmac, with the initial explanation offered by the company, corroborated by Atlas Air, citing non-specific mechanical issues. However, the panicked social media messages of the trapped superstars told a different story. The mechanical issues line didn't explain the military surrounding the plane, nor a delay of 24 hours. The suggestion that the talent was being held hostage whilst WWE and the General Sports Authority were deadlocked in a dispute over payment seemed a far more plausible explanation. Whatever the case, WWE's roster were stuck in Riyadh, yet the company had a SmackDown show to promote the very next evening. As it transpired, the turmoil proved a blessing in disguise. The women's roster were ironically allowed to flourish, having been forced to sit out Saudi Arabia, whilst NXT stars and conscientious objector Daniel Bryan filled out the rest. The night's main event, pitting Bryan against Full Sail's Adam Cole, proved one of the finest matches on the brand in, and I think this is a technical term, yonks. Number 5. The steroid trial. When Vince McMahon was indicted on federal charges of steroid distribution in November 1993, the WWE impresario prepared for the worst. If convicted, the chairman faced up to 8 years in prison. In context, that was a sentence which would, in an alternative timeline, have seen him released several months after WWE's takeover of WCW and the effective end of the Attitude Era. Ooh, what about the Attitude Era? Though obviously history would have taken a dramatically different course. With Vince behind bars, the operation of his family-run business would naturally hand over to wife Linda, right? Well, not entirely. Whilst Linda was a natural fit for the Federation's business affairs, she knew sod all about actually promoting a wrestling company. McMahon earmarked veteran Memphis booker Jerry Jarrett, the father of Jeff, as his successor should he end up in the Slammer. This wasn't just a contingency, but a very real concern, to the extent that Jarrett was hired as a consultant fully in expectation of a conviction. Those fears, though, proved unfounded. McMahon was acquitted, and Jarrett, who had desperately wanted to stay in Tennessee, was was released with full pay for the remainder of his contract. Number 4. WWF versus WWF. For nearly a quarter of a century, the acronym WWF was synonymous with the bright lights and bone bending of professional wrestling. However, the initials had also represented the World Wildlife Fund for a lot longer too, and by 1994, the Panda Protectors were growing mighty frustrated at their ecological heroism being undermined by Hulk Hogan and co. A 1994 agreement between Titan Sports and the World Wildlife Fund deemed that WWF was the sole property of the Conservation Group. Henceforth, the federation was strictly prohibited from using the moniker. Typically bullish, they forged ahead as though nothing had changed, with the company's stolen consonants blossoming to a new height of mainstream relevance throughout the Attitude Era. By 2002, with WCW and ECW dust, WWF, and not just the name, basically was synonymous with the business. The environmentalist lobby, rightly infuriated, took McMahon to court again, and in a rare legal defeat, it was ruled that World Wrestling Federation had breached the 1994 agreement, and the organization was forced to relinquish its universally recognized brand with due effect. WWF became WWE, and for the next 10 years, any footage bearing reference to the old initialism became a copyright minefield. Although, of course, if you ask Vince, he just woke up one morning and decided to get the F out. I just don't know which story to believe. Number 3. That Icelandic volcano. The cloud of ash thrust into the atmosphere following the April 2010 eruption of, that Icelandic volcano caused absolute carnage to travel, grounding flights all over Europe. Besides birthing the wonderful "I hate Iceland" meme, the disruption had wider-reaching consequences, not least severely hampering WWE's Raw, as most of the talent were trapped on the continent following their WrestleMania tour. With the Red Brand's roster stuck in Belfast, a skeleton crew of SmackDown superstars filled in for the absentees. Only Triple H, Vladimir Kozlov, and commentators Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler managed to escape Europe in time. With ring announcer Justin Roberts absent, Lillian Garcia graciously agreed to step in and cover for him. And as gratitude for her gesture, Triple H basically called her a horse, whilst Lawler resorted to neighing noises behind the desk. In hindsight, she should have told them to stick it up their ash cloud. Number 2. The Chris Benoit tragedy. The 22nd of June 2007 is a day that changed not just WWE, but professional wrestling forever. After Chris Benoit no-showed the weekend's Vengeance Night of Champions pay-per-view for unexplained reasons, WWE were first to break the tragic news that their employee, as well as his wife Nancy and son Daniel, had been found dead at their home. Entirely unaware of the specific circumstances of the incident, the company, at an absolute loss, suspended all storylines for the post-pay-per-view episode of Raw and instead devoted it to Benoit's memory. As the transmission reached its conclusion, reports suggesting the wrestler had killed his family before taking his own life emerged. WWE had unwittingly spent 3 hours paying tribute to a murderer. On the ECW broadcast the following night, an ashen-faced Vince McMahon made moves to distance the company from Benoit, saying that they would not mention his name again. It was, he said, the first step of the healing process. But many more wounds would soon be opened up by a mainstream media placing greater scrutiny on WWE and its practices than ever before. McMahon was grilled on the Today Show days after the incident, during which he vacillated on whether steroids could have played a role in the murder-suicide, citing his confused message as a reaction to the hysteria of the media. Nevertheless, WWE instigated wide-sweeping changes almost overnight, eager to prevent such a reputation-destroying tragedy ever occurring again. Unprotected chair shots to the head were outlawed, passing a medical became mandatory for all new signings, and the wellness policy introduced following Eddie Guerrero's similarly untimely passing 2 years earlier was hugely tightened. Benoit's legacy, meanwhile, was entirely eradicated from WWE's archive. Number 1. The current Malady Malarkey. WWE have for the longest time championed the fact that, unlike the real sports it vies for television supremacy against, they have no off-season. 365 days a year, 366 during a leap year, the company's talent travel the length and breadth of America and the rest of the world to entertain, with Raw and SmackDown guaranteed fixtures come rain or shine. In the current chaotic climate in which we all find ourselves, that admirably, if a little obdurately, remains the case. No circumstance throughout WWE's lifespan has threatened not just it, but the cultural and social function of the entire world, quite like 2020's medical situation. Yet the company remained committed to delivering product, albeit entirely behind closed doors. But it seems inevitable that as soon as the talent or the staff become personally affected, and it will happen, then everything will be off. WWE's and wrestling's off-season will finally come. For all our quotidian grumbles about booking, ratings wars, and a whole host of things which don't really matter in the wider scheme, we love this great sport, and boy are we gonna miss it when it's gone. And that's our list. Did we miss any out? Let us know in the comment section below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from for daily wrestling podcasts. Plus, you can check out some more recent videos here. Thanks for watching. I've been Adam from What Culture, and I'll see you soon.